that I think everybody is, we're all the same. We are. People are all the same. And I know that a lot of the Russian people are in a real tough position, but I think the Ukrainian people are in a tougher position. Okay? So I've noticed something, and maybe it's just me. Okay? Maybe I'm the one that's only noticing this, but maybe I'm not. But I get offered a lot of channels that are Russian, and that's been real recent, and that could be because I've done shows or channels. I've done videos about channels and this kind of show that they put on, and there's one channel in particular, this Dan guy, and at first I thought it was interesting. It was sort of like this channel, and a lot of them do this. Most of them are doing this, like, this is what it's like in Russia. It's like, this is Russian life or something like this. This is the products we have. This is what we do. And all of them speak very fluent English. All of them. Some of them, you can't even tell they're Russian. So, but they're in Russia, and this one was holding up her passport and everything. But I noticed that they all were doing this. They all had similar type channels. Nothing offensive, ever. And they all say that they're not political, yet they're political. Like, they start off right away like, I'm never political, but then they talk about politics. They kind of just sort of move it into the conversation, and especially lately. And it's true. It's true. There's a lot of Russian channels like this. And I've noticed something else about several Russian channels. I was subscribed to that one with the Dan guy, Shikos. I was subscribed to that channel, and that was the only channel that I'd been subscribed to. But I've watched other channels since then, since I started putting out stuff about Dan. Don't mess with this cord. Sammy's here and he wants to mess with this. Sam's my raven. So they all have been doing the same thing, which is how life has changed in Russia, and it has to do with the sanctions. And it's sort of like that they're all, oh man, that's a computer, Dick. They're all sort of almost like reading from a script. I swear. Svetlana in Russia, Emily in Russia, they're all sort of reading from the same script. They're all sort of doing, and you know, it's like there's other things to talk about in life. Meaning, before they all had sort of the same channel, right? All they did was talk about, you know, the stuff in stores, and here's me with my friends, we're having lunch. I know some of them, like the channels, which makes sense because this would be true of a lot of YouTube channels. They use like attractive women. You know, that's not unheard of, but it's just strange that they all have the same sort of, they all look different, okay? They all look different, but they all sort of have the same model for a YouTube channel. Now, you could say, yeah, but your YouTube channel is like 20 different things. I have 19 different playlists. So I'll talk about anything. You know, that not just anything, it's stuff that I have opinions about. Bigfoot, right? Dog training. My Raven Sam, come here. You know, it just sort of depends on what I feel like. You know, I'm a comic. I'm I'm not just like this, have this one facet, and there's a lot of channels that are just like ASMR, okay? But it seems like a lot of these Russian channels before the war were just sort of, this is Russian life, look, I'm just like you, like, but using different people so that like different people might be attracted to one channel or the other, but it was the same type of model, like here we are out to dinner, like that. You know, hang on here, hang on. And I've also seen something else on these channels, and that is them talking about a VPN. Now, you can't have a VPN in Russia, but these Russian channels talk about it like, see, we could still get the internet. We can't see TikTok, but with a VPN, we can, which is true. So you could have a VPN, but you better not announce it on YouTube, or you're going to be in big trouble. But these channels say this, like, see, my VPN's still working. So they're sort of saying, like, look, we have a lot of freedom. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's all about this kind of weird disinformation and sort of this underlying, you guys are really screwing us up and we're just like you. This isn't fair. I don't really hear anybody even, they don't, one thing they don't talk about is the war. They don't talk about the war, but the common thread really is, like, they bring up a VPN, but they're not even really supposed to have a VPN, but they're announcing it on YouTube. Now, I suspected the one channel that I watched for years that I was like, I wonder how this works working in a, you're in a country where it's really like that. Like, Putin owns you. You do what you are told. The rich have power, and people like me, no way. No, I would have no power. I have no rights other than what I get lucky enough to get. Maybe I know somebody that might help me. But like me, right? They put out this thing, like, I remember when Trump was in office, there was this Maria Butina, and there was this whole thing about how you can have guns in Russia, and like it was like they wanted to start this NRA thing in Russia, but you really can't have a gun in Russia. They can say you can, but like if you were on an Olympic shooting team, you could have a gun, but you'd also probably be rich, okay? But like the everyday guy, like me, if I was in Moscow, I can't go get a handgun. It does not work like that. So there was stuff put out, when we had our last president in office that like, there was this really like, Russia's just like us. They have their guns and so do we, but they don't. The only people that have guns over there would be like some rich dude that has a giant yacht that shoots skeet off the fantail, okay? So you don't get rights like in Russia. Also in Russia, journalists can't be journalists. There was like a little bit of free, like there was this one channel, Rain, where they would sort of say some stuff, but they never cross over that boundary. But now they're not even in existence, and there's one news agency, and it's state-run. You don't have freedom of speech, meaning you can't even say the word war. You'll get 15 years in prison. The Russian people have no idea how many casualties they have had since the war. Now, it sounds like about 15,000 Russian soldiers dead. That's the number I keep hearing, right around there. And maybe up to, like, including casualties and people that just skipped out, 40,000. They lost 40,000 people so far. That's huge. In 20 years of, like, including Afghanistan and Iran, we lost like 7,000, which is a huge amount, but that was over 20 years. Putin, the idiot, has lost thousands and lost thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Tank after tank has been hit. They shot one of the Russian ships the other day and sunk it, and they also got another one too. One was offloading like personnel carriers. They sunk that thing, put it on fire, and it's not going to be used. You know, how's it going to be used? And another ship. They're in a bad position, okay, the Russian people, because they're not hearing the straight scoop. They aren't. It's horrible. It's horrible. I feel for them. There's people here in this country that believe what they are told. So I think about friends of mine that had sort of the same thing. Like, well, they would listen to one TV station, and that TV station just would repeat this stuff and not fact check. You know, so I get it. I see how it's done. I understand George Orwell's 1984. I get it. So I feel sorry for them, and, you know, it's like the human mind is suggestible. So once it's said over and over again, they start believing it. And sometimes it's easier to believe something that somebody's telling you than really have to think about it and stand up for what is right, because that's dangerous and you might lose something that's very valuable to yourself. I get it. Some of these Russian channels are undoubtedly propaganda. And when I say propaganda, I mean, my nose itches, sorry, excuse me. I mean, they are putting out propaganda, and I think that somebody has been giving them a script. And the reason why is because so many channels are so much alike, but so different, meaning the people that speak have a different look. There's several that they use women, okay? Smart, Vladimir, that's smart, right? The everyday Russian family guy, blah, blah, blah. When you listen to them, and somebody's starting out by saying, I'm not political, beware, because they are political, and that's what they all do. They all get political, but they just sort of like ease you into it. And the first thing that they're saying is, I'm not political. Now, generally speaking, I would say that that's like a psychological thing, that the first time you hear something, you're going to have a tendency to believe it. So you've heard it, and then you'd have to have somebody talk you out of it, because somebody that looked reasonable and that you liked, they look likable. There's a likable thing about them. You hear it, you have no other choice but to believe it. But if you listen to them, right, after they've said, I'm not political, they get real political. They tell you this, like, woe is me. Like, isn't this horrible? They get totally political. They might not be mentioning presidents and prime ministers' names, but they're political. Don't be fooled by this stuff. It's just like, I'm not telling, listen, you can watch whatever you want. That's the greatest thing about this country. I'm just saying, everybody, including anything that you see on the internet, my videos, whatever, watch it with with open eyes. Okay? Some stuff on my channel is fictional. Some stuff is factual. Some stuff is comedy. Some stuff is educational. It's like that, okay? And it's not my job as a YouTuber to explain what is what. So the same is true of, like, say, the Russian channels that really are cranking out similar content. It's not their job to say, hey, I'm doing propaganda. It's not their job. You might say, it's your job. That's right. It's my job to point it out, and I have been doing it. But with that said, it's propaganda, and it's put out real slick. To me, it's my opinion, it's propaganda. These aren't dummies that are putting this out. I believe that they're being told, and it's scripted. So it's like they don't really have to think too much. They just have to put it out, do this subject, go to the shopping mall, show you the stuff that's closed, show you the prices. That's it. That's it. That's all they have to do. And also, don't forget, have a thumbnail with gas prices in Russia or something like that. Now, everybody's curious, but I'll tell you something. What about gas prices here? It's all relative. It is. This is a terrible time. There's no good time for a war, but right after the pandemic, our economy was already, doing pretty good. But this is going to affect us. But there's no choice, really. We could spin into a recession more than likely. I mean, a lot of steel comes from Russia and Ukraine. A lot of grain. It's all tied in. We're building bombs. Nitrogen is used to build bombs. So fertilizer. See what I'm saying? We need fertilizer to grow. Everything's going to go up. Prices of everything is going to go up. I just, I feel like I'm repeating the same thing I was repeating, 3 years ago. Sort of like, you can't really believe that, can you? Now, keep in mind, I'm like this, I'm pretty jaded. I am. I have like a real cynical, but I feel like I'm repeating myself again, like it's Groundhog's Day. Like, people believe this stuff, hook, line, and sinker. They want to believe, and that's just it. People want to believe. But if you have a Russian saying, my VPN still works, and they're on YouTube, doesn't that stop and make you wonder? Doesn't it? Because they're not supposed to have the VPN. But they're brave enough to. I wouldn't be announcing that in Russia. I mean, think about the Skripal family in UK that was poisoned. That's a Did I see it happen? No, I'm just telling you what I heard about in Western news. Okay, like when I see cities in Ukraine just flattened, just absolutely flattened by the Russian army, I tend to believe it because we have a free press and Russia doesn't. If you live in China, you don't have you don't have a free press. You don't have journalists that can just say what they want. It don't work like that. And that's true in Russia. So I find it hard to believe that if Putin, President Putin, the Russian government are controlling state news, that there's Russians that can bypass this on a YouTube channel and not make it propaganda too. Don't you think? And you say, well, they're just talking about gas prices and stuff like that. Are they really? Don't you think they're talking about a little bit more? It's always this tone of like, oh, this is so unfair. Really? Is it really that unfair? Because what I think is unfair is being in your home, in your apartment building, and having a bomb drop on it. I think that's really unfair. So, yeah, you won't be able to get Kit Kats in Russia, right? And we're going to have to pay, ungodly amounts for things for a while until this is rectified. It's going to get expensive. That's just how it is. There isn't a choice, and if you have a VPN in Russia, you would know about what was going on in Ukraine, and you wouldn't be doing videos about how bad it is that the sanctions aren't here, saying, I can't find baby diapers, right? Let's pull at the heartstrings. Not like, oh, we can't get Kit Kats. You go into the baby section and you make sure you can't find diapers. But this is true. You can't get Kit Kats, but there were companies like Kimberly-Clark that said, we're still going to have to deal with them with baby food and diapers. So I watch the news. I know this. You're being suckered. This just happens on social media. It's happening here. Happens on Facebook. This is how it is. If you want to believe everything that you see on the internet, you're a fool. You are a fool. People read something or see something on the internet. It must be true. It's on the internet. Well, you know what it is? It's like if it's the presentation is very important. If it looks like a website, if it looks professionally done, if it's written well, people have a tendency to just, well, that's it. It says it right there. I read it. It's the goddamn internet, man. You can't believe anything. I was talking about Nat Geo earlier. That's a perfect example of not propaganda, but they really want to suck the human in, so they, like all the animal stories have this twist where it's like a really anthropomorphic view of a bear, an elephant, a dog, a crow, a raven, whatever. So see, they're just like you, something like that, and that's what's happening over there. They were doing videos. See, we're just like you, okay? We're just like you. We're likable. They use likable people, charismatic. Like I said, female, pleasant-looking people, okay? They suck you in. They want to suck you in so that you have this affinity with them. Like you see people talking to you. There's people that think that they know me. They don't know me. You know nothing about me. You might know some things about me because I just say what I want to say and I don't really care. But you don't really know me. But because I'm looking into the camera, it's like I'm talking to you, the individual. But I'm not really talking to that individual. I'm talking to a bunch of people. So that's what they do. They suck you in. They want you to like them. Okay? But that's true. Well, not really me. I don't really care. I was going to say, yeah, I want you to like me, but I have a whole track record of get lost. I don't really care if you like me. And I don't. I'm going to say what I say. If you don't like it, leave. And by the way, if you write unsub, that's pathetic because I don't care. And either does any YouTuber. It's like the people are powerless, so they write unsub. I'm so angry. I gotta write unsubbed. Do you see the point that I'm making? It's just like Orwell's 1984. It's very similar. It's all scripted. Here, okay, so this week we're gonna do it on gas prices. Next week we're gonna do it on food. We have to go to the shopping mall. They have to probably check off a list. Yeah, I talked about this, and this. And I didn't talk about this, I didn't talk about this, and I didn't talk about this. The whole thing, it's too similar in content it's individual in look because you might have a blonde, a redhead, a family guy, okay? But there's this real aspect of like, you're gonna like us a lot. You're gonna like me. You know, you're gonna like me because I'm Russian and I'm just like you. Now, with that said, the Russian people, they aren't just like us. They are. They want to work, they want to be happy. They want everything that we want. They're no different. They're just born in a different part of the world. But the big difference is that we have freedoms that they don't have. And that sucks. That sucks. That sucks for them. You can't just do whatever you want. You can't say war. They're telling you what words you can use and not use. If you're an artist, you don't have. I would hate it. The last show, not the last show, but the second to last show I had was right when Trump got elected. And if I was in Russia, I would have either been put in jail or I would have been killed. That's a fact. You betcha. Look at what he did to Pussy Riot. Pussy Riot was in jail for, what, 4 years? 2 years? She had a 4-year-old child for what? Writing a song about Putin. If I would have done the exact same animatronic sculptures, and it wasn't Trump doing it, and it was Putin doing it, I would have been in jail or dead. Definitely. They would have showed up at my house. They would have showed up at the gallery. The gallery would have been closed for indecent something, you know, whatever. So we're lucky. We're lucky. I can't imagine living in the former Soviet Union. I knew some people that went behind the Iron Curtain and told me about it. It sounded rotten. So one thing that I do notice in like the some of it, you know, like some of it shot better than other. You know, like some people that are making these videos, like it just looks better. It's better done. Why that is, I don't know. I don't know if they're, you know, I don't know, but it's still the same thing. But what I will say is like there's a lot of similarities. You know, like if they're in areas like the shopping malls all look the same. It's all the same. People are people. The only big difference is that they're living in a state where they can't say anything that they want. They're not getting the news. They're being lied to. That stinks. That does. It stinks. Do I have actual proof that the channels that I'm talking about that look like propaganda they're actually getting scripted stuff? No, I don't. I'm just, I'm highly suspect of it. I am. I'm very suspect of it. Anytime anybody says, like, you're in Russia and you're announcing that you have a VPN, they're going to show up at your house. How are you going to do next week's video? You think that they're not monitoring your Russian channel? It says Russia, right? You know, it's like, are you kidding me? You can't announce it. Yeah, I got a VPN. It's still working great. I got all the information. We know what's going on. You know? Really? You do? You should be, I personally, I think that the people that are doing these videos should be very happy. One, you know, they're nicely dressed, they have some money, they're always going to eat. Their houses aren't being bombed. They're not living in a basement for 20 days without food and water. They don't have to take their cat or their dog and get on a train and move to Poland. They didn't, somebody that they love isn't dead because of another country invaded their country. I don't really think that, like, I don't find it interesting. I'm sorry. I know that there's some people that bitch about some of my videos on the subject, and I know that some of the comments are clearly not from this country, okay? It's real clear. I mean, I had bad grammar, but give me a break. It's ridiculous. But some people are so invested in some of these channels, like the one channel where the guy, his wife had a kid. They're just so invested they feel like they have to what would be the term? Protect them or something. I don't know. Say that I'm wrong, which is fine. I don't care. I'm saying this is an opinion. I'm not saying I have facts. Okay? I'm not saying I have facts. I'm just saying it just looks. I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious about everything. So, Sam the Raven, I'm always suspicious about him. I am, right, Sammy? I hear Destiny creeping around out there. I hear her. Destiny? She just went in there. She went in the bedroom over there. I heard her. She walks very softly. Right, Sam? Sam, you know what me and Destiny bought you at the, you know what we bought you? We bought you some olives. He likes black olives. Just as a treat. He doesn't get them very often. Once a year or something, right, Samson? But, I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, imagine the world like that without Kim Jong-un and Putin. And there was actual free elections over there. That's the thing with our country. There's disinformation over here too. So it's a fact. That's a big thing. We have one party that believes this QAnon stuff. It's just nonsense. We have a president that wanted to stay in office. So even 6 months before, he was, saying it wasn't going to be a fair election. What he said was, if I don't win, then it wasn't a fair election. That's what he said, and he just repeated it over and over and over again. It was weird. Today we had news. Last night about Clarence Thomas, which is one of our Supreme Court justices. It was about him. He was been in the hospital for about a week. He had some kind of lung infection or something. It wasn't COVID. And he has a wife that is involved in the Republican Party. And so she's like a talking, she's using her position as Clarence Thomas's wife to promote things. And so she was it sounds like she's one of the organizers of January 6th, the insurrection. And, to make a long story short, okay, the Congress wanted to get a hold of certain records, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, because Trump was like, no, I don't want you to see this stuff. Some of it is phone records. And some of those phone records would have Thomas is the Supreme Court justice, his wife doing text messages to people in the Republican Party. Now, when it went to the Supreme Court, he was the only one that voted not to release the stuff. That looks pretty bad. So your wife is going to be, implicated. So you vote not to release the stuff. Somebody was saying he should be recused from anything that has to do with the January 6th stuff. If any of that comes up, which it's gonna, I think he should be impeached. I do. I think that he should be impeached. It looks, well, you could say his wife isn't him. He's not his wife. He can't control his wife. It looks pretty smelly, Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because his wife is texting Mark Meadows, right? It's one thing. That doesn't mean Clarence Thomas was contacting Mark Meadows. They're two separate people. They're just married. And, well, in her text, she did say, I just talked to my best friend, and that's one of the things that they call each other. He's my best friend. She's my best friend. Publicly said this. It looks real suspicious. That's, you know, he's been in the Supreme Court longer than any of them. So how do you deal with that? Like, you know, like, clear, he's going to have to recuse himself from anything. That's flat out. But I don't know, if I was Roberts, right? Well, I don't think he can do it. Somebody should. I would try and get him out of there. Like, hasn't he been in there long enough? But see, the problem is the conservative people wouldn't want him to leave, because if he left now, Joe Biden would put a more liberal, you know, person in there, which may be all right, you know. As long as it was somebody that, yeah, he'd probably pick somebody sort of middle of the road. I don't know. I'm just glad I live here. I have a lot more freedom living here than the poor people of Russia. And if you're in the United States, don't take it for granted, because I think about the insurrection. We could be just like them. We could. Think about, like, World War II. How Hitler became in power. These are perfectly normal people. It was like mass hysteria. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it was like mass hysteria. You get brainwashed. Like, how many times have you heard the Republican Party described as a cult? It is. It's described as a cult. It isn't like, I voted for Ron Reagan. I was a Republican. I voted for Reagan. You know? That kind of, well, I don't know if he was fiscally conservative. We made a lot of bombs during that time. That's Mango. He's 23. I'm gonna have to go. But what I am saying is, we're just like them. It's just, we're lucky because we live here, and we're lucky because we still have our democracy. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry that there are these channels that I find questionable. They're just obvious to me. I'm just like, oh, that's like blatantly obvious. Oh, they can talk about their VPN? Really? Yeah, you guys, right, but you can't, so how are you doing that? Everything's gotta be, you know, run by whoever is in the government. So somebody's telling them to say that. I'm not political. Right. Fact is, we are healthier without, yeah, it is. It's just a flat out fact. If somebody's telling you, I'm not political, listen carefully, because they're probably very political. You know, that's it. What's up, one Sean Bond? All right? It's like if somebody tells you, hang on, this is a good example. If somebody tells you that as a politician, when, let's say, a newspaper says something nasty about them, that it's fake news, and anytime anything is said about him that's negative, it's fake news, does it make sense it's fake news? Especially if you have several other newspapers in a democracy that have freedom of speech that are saying this, and then the politician is saying, that's fake news, that's fake news, that's fake news, and that's fake news. That makes sense to you? Doesn't make any sense to me. And it didn't, and neither do these channels that are spitting out this garbage. It's purely my opinion. It's just my opinion. I gotta go deal with Mango. I'll see y'all. Bye. Bo spadania.